Hey, what's going on? This is Napoleon. I want to give a shout out to the 2pac-forum, Machiavelli forum. Hopefully you guys enjoy the interview. Thanks.
It's really a pleasure to talk to you.
No
Really nice, and
problem.
thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. No problem, man. It's perfect timing to do this interview, promote the documentary and things like that. You're in Netherlands, you say, right?
Yeah, exactly. You
Oh,
was here a few years ago with the Outlaws, right?
yeah. No, I wasn't there with the Outlaws, but I came a few times. I'm actually coming there at the end of February. Small town. I forget the name of the town.
And what you going to do there?
I'm going to do like some small talks with the youth and, promote my documentary and things like that. I will let you know. Maybe if you close, you come by.
Oh yeah, that will be nice, man.
Okay.
And yeah, how are you doing these days? You living in Saudi Arabia right now?
I'm living in Saudi Arabia. I've been here for 2 years. I plan to be here for some time, with my wife and my kids. And it's a good opportunity to be in this part of the world. It's very safe. It's a good environment to raise kids.
What was the reason that you changed your whole lifestyle and stepped out of the whole music business?
Well, for me, I've been involved in the music industry since I was very young.
Yeah.
Since I was 13 years old, and I was in the middle of it. I was with Tupac, who's of course the number one selling rap artist in the history, but I wasn't happy inside of this business, you know what I mean? Even though it probably was a lot of money to be made and things like that, but it wasn't bringing me any happiness. After a while, from partying and drinking every day, you have to start thinking about what is the purpose of life, what are you created for? So I knew that if I continued to live my life that way, that it was going to be a terrible ending.
The death of Tupac a reason as well that you left the whole music industry?
No, because Tupac died in 1996. I converted to Islam in 2002, and I left the music industry in 2005. So
Okay.
close to almost 10 years after the death of Tupac. When Pac was living, we never thought twice about leaving that lifestyle. I guess just I got a little more mature the longer that I was involved in that business. I was able to see things that wasn't the way that I didn't agree with, and you just want to change your life. Some people,
Yeah.
unfortunately, they stuck in time. You have people, they still in the music industry, and they 30, 40 years old, and they still doing the same thing. They don't change in life.
Yeah, can you tell us something about the new documentary?
Yes, the documentary Life of an Outlaw is basically the documentary about my life, growing up from the beginning of my life to witnessing the death of my mother and father when I was 3 years old, to growing up in the streets in New Jersey. And then it talks about how I met Tupac, the day that I met him, starting my career in the music industry.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to just show the ups and downs that I actually went through in the music industry and what made me leave the music industry and why I accepted Islam. So the
Mhm.
documentary, we put it together. We put it together in a way where it doesn't matter your religion, your race, your background, your gender. We made it in such a way that everyone can relate to it.
You're working together with some people to just make this documentary?
Yes, the documentary is one of the executive producers is Mike Epps, which is an actor comedian from America. He's a big actor comedian. Did movies with Will Smith, Ice Cube. The Next Friday. He's well known back home. Also, we have permission from the Tupac estate. Afeni Shakur, she gave us permission to use the footage and the video of Tupac, so she's a partner with us in the project. Not as far as she don't have any involvement in it, but she supported us.
Yeah.
And we just closed the deal with MDM Sony IOTA, which is a Sony company, a distribution company under Sony, and they're going to release it worldwide. So January 21st, 2003, we're going to release it digitally, download on iTunes, Amazon, all the websites where people can download. February 19th, 2013, it will be in stores worldwide. We have some good people involved. We have a few different people involved with it. We have Freeway, we have the Outlaws, we have like I said, we have Mike Epps, we have
Yeah.
footage that people never seen of Tupac.
Oh, that's dope. And what kind of footage will there be in the documentary?
Footage that's like put pictures also, pictures of footage that the people never seen of Tupac. Just basically, it's not that the documentary, for example. Of course, we had to touch up on my involvement with the Outlaws and Tupac, but we didn't want to make it seem like it's a Tupac documentary when most people they try to take advantage of Pac. So what I did with the documentary, I just got my rights. I told my story. I didn't use too much footage. I didn't want to come to his mother and make it seem like, we just trying to, take advantage of her and Pac to sell a documentary. So what we did is just use a little bit of footage, a little bit of photos of the documentary to get the story across of how I met Tupac and things like that,
Yeah, exactly. And what was the reason that you wanted to make a documentary about your life?
Well, basically, a friend of mine, Jonathan, who's also the director and the writer of the documentary, Youssef, he's from Canada. He mentioned it to me before doing a documentary, and when he first mentioned to me, I really wasn't paying too much attention to it. I remember I told him, I said, just keep reminding me, maybe one day we'll do it. And I remember every few months he would send me an email, and he said, what about are you still interested in doing a documentary? I think it probably went a couple years. Me kept telling him, maybe I'm thinking about it, kept trying to throw it off. And then eventually we just put it together and made it happen.
For a long time you're working on a documentary now. Just I remember the news that it's coming. It's already out for a few years, right?
Yes, the news been coming because we finished the documentary maybe we started on it maybe 2 years ago, but actually we still been doing production. We recently just finished the last editing and production of the documentary, so you can say we've been working on it for the last 3 years. It was just some paperwork and some things that we had to do on the business side of things in order for us to release the documentary. And one of them was to get the approval from Tupac mother and the Tupac Shakur estate. We didn't want to do like some people, they just release without the respect of his mother. They just put out a book or put out a film. We wanted to do everything the correct way, so we had to be patient and get that permission from her. And it took some time because she's a woman who's also have her own family, and she was busy, and the Tupac estate, it was changing attorneys and things like that, so it took some time,
And if you can describe the documentary in 3 words, which words would it be?
I would just say just a real life story, In the documentary, we didn't make up anything. It was just my story, which is what God created for me, So just a real life story, The interview we interviewed, like, for example, relatives of mine who spoke about the death of my mother and father. We interviewed brothers. We interviewed Mopreme, Tupac brother. We interviewed all the outlaws. So it was just basically the documentary is my story, but also from other people's point of view. We had other people involved, and they was explaining how they was looking at the situation I was going through at that time.
Yeah, you was already there with the Turk life era, right?
Yeah.
I have footage of you from 93, 94, that you are 15 or 16.
Yeah, I was maybe 14 years old when I first met Pac. I was one of the original members of the Outlaws, The first time I met Pac, 13, 14 years old, 1993, 1994.
How and when did you meet Tupac for the first time?
The first time I met Pac was in Manhattan, New York City. Maybe 1993, 92, I forget the exact year. I was on my way to, I got a phone call saying that he was coming in town, also with Gaddafi, who was a childhood friend of mine, and Castro. And they invited me to come over, They invited me to come over, so I was able to get on the train, which was 30 minutes away from my city, to Manhattan, and I went to visit Pac at the hotel.
Did you ever felt like Tupac was depressed or bored of life?
I think Pac he was like many youngsters in America that's searching, and they don't really know. Like Pac had great intentions, he had good intentions, and Allah knows best. But I think he didn't know which route to go. Pac was a loyal individual. Pac was the type of person, he knew right from wrong. He was a very intelligent person, but he was so loyal. For example, if he signed a record deal with Death Row Records, he's gonna be with them until he's a loyal individual. I can remember some days sitting with Pac, and he would sound as if he was depressed, and he would say he's tired of this life, and he wished he wasn't living anymore because of all the lawsuits it was getting to him, He was a strong individual as far as adversity. He was able to, in opposition, he was able to stand strong in the face of opposition and things like that. He was a very intelligent person.
In one of his last interviews, he was telling that he doesn't like the rap industry and that he wants to leave the whole industry and just doing movies and stuff like that.
I know Pac, for example, he was going to actually, he was already involved in the movies, Thank you. And I know for a fact that he was going to try to get in. He mentioned like getting into politics and things like that. So you have to understand in the music industry, is in that lifestyle, there's two things that can happen. If people can stay in that lifestyle, you can maybe make a lot of money, But unfortunately, most of the time, especially in the rap industry, you have a bad, violent ending, and the people are not happy, you know? So
Hmm.
everyone is just doped up, and everyone is getting drunk every day searching for happiness.
Especially the lifestyle that you guys lived in a short period of time.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And I heard from a lot of people he was recording till late night in the studio, and then at 7 in the morning he just woke up and went to the movie set.
Pac, man, he probably would sleep for only 3 hours, 4 hours, if that. You know, he was a hard worker. That's what made Pac different than all these other individuals that he liked to work. He was an individual. If he wasn't in a recording studio, he was on a movie set. He wasn't a type of person that's always in a nightclub, always partying. He was more on the business side of things. He loved to work, you know.
In March 96, on the Soul Train Awards, 2pac and Biggie met each other for the first time after the 94 shooting. You was there?
I came later. I know about the event. I wasn't there when actually he met him. When he ran into him, I think me and the Outlaws, we came a few later, you know, maybe a few minutes later.
Do you know, still remember the whole atmosphere around that whole awards? It was really negative, I heard.
Yeah, it was more negative, man, and I don't really want to go into details with it because, you know, it was with Biggie, he's no longer living. You know,
Yeah.
I touch up on a little bit of this from my documentary so that we can close that door. And, you know, Biggie's not here no more. Pac is not here no more. Little C's, who was actually there, he grew up and he matured. I actually spoke with him and the Outlaws. They stopped their conflict and they got together. So we don't really have to go into details with that. You know what I mean? As I mentioned on my documentary, I kind of just touched up on the beef a little bit and just left it alone and closed the door.
I have a few more questions about some songs you did with 2pac, if you don't mind.
No problem.
Yeah, first about the song You Can Be Touched.
Yeah.
On the original version of the song, 2pac is doing the first verse.
Yes.
And why you're doing nearly the same verse on the remix?
What happened is Pac, he did the song You Can Be Touched. Him and some of the members of the Outlaws, they done the original song, you know?
Yeah.
And one day I remember Pac came to me, and this is the first time he ever, you know, came with an idea to write a verse for one of the members of the Outlaws because we wrote our own songs, you know? Pac came to me and he said, when I did that You Can Be Touched, it just sounded like it's something you would say, Mo. He said, it just sounded like something you would say, Napoleon, so I want you to rap that verse for me. So basically, he just told me to go ahead, and he felt like, you know, the verse was talking about, you know, for example, he was saying, I'm needing my parents, but they was never there for me. These things like that, you know. So Pac said it just sounded like something that I should say. And he asked me what I said. And, of course, this is 2pac. I think who would say no to Pac telling him I wrote a verse for you and I want you to sing this verse, you know. So I told him, of course, I had to make it happen. So that's why you have one version when you hear Pac, and then you have another version when you hear me. The official version on the Still I Rise was my verse because this is the way Pac wanted it. Pac wanted to remove his verse, and he wanted me to only do that part of it.
And I have a question about a song that you recorded with 2pac. It's called Killing Fields. Can you remember that song?
Yes. I remember that song. That was actually one of my first songs that I ever done in New Jersey. That song, Killing Field, it was actually my original song before I met 2pac and the Outlaws. Before I met Pac and the Outlaws, this was actually my song, you know? And what happened is we got bored one day, and me and the Outlaws, we decided to go in the studio. And I told them about this song. Well, they heard that song before, so we just took the same chorus and we put it to a new beat, you know?
A question a lot of fans would love to know. Was there any concept made for a Dromacidal album in '94?
Yeah, with a Dromacidal album, it came at a time when we signed a record deal with Interscope Records, and Pac was doing, I think, a bit in prison. He was locked up for a year and a half. And mainly, he was still calling the shots from prison. He would call from prison, and he would say, I want you to do this song. I came up with a hook in prison, a chorus. So even though he was in prison, he was in charge of everything, you know?
Yeah, but it never happened because 2pac signed with Death Row, I guess.
It never happened. We did the whole album with Interscope Records, and then when Pac decided that he was going to go with Death Row Records, we had to walk away from that album.
Why you was only on one song on the Machiavelli album?
Because at that particular time when Pac was doing the Machiavelli album, my grandmother, she had just died and passed away. So I had to go to the funeral. I had to leave and go to the funeral. And when I got back in town, Pac was doing the last song on that album. So I just made the album just in time, you know?
You did the whole album with Johnny J as well, right?
Yes, I did a whole album with Johnny J. I actually signed to his record label. After we finished the album, we never got a chance to release the album due to the fact that I wanted to walk away from the music industry.
Is there any chance that this will be released in the future?
Well, to be honest, I have nothing to do with it anymore. Anything when it comes to the music that I've done in the past, I have no say-so. I really cut it off 100%. So even if they release it, it's something that I have no control over.
Was Storm, the female rapper, considered as a real member from the Outlaws, or was she more a solo artist affiliated with the group?
She was more like a solo artist affiliated with the group, like only female artist that he ever wanted to release and only paid attention with, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, why she's not on so many songs?
I don't really know. Back then, you know, she was on a few songs, on a few albums with Pac. I'm not really sure exactly why, but you know, Pac died soon after he discovered her, basically.
Were there any ideas for an album on Death Row from the Outlaws?
Well, that time, of course, we was gonna do, you know, album. Actually, the Outlaws, we did do an album on Death Row Records. It just never released, you know.
Yeah.
We moved on. We started our own record company, but we did do an album with Death Row Records. You know, it's so long ago, man. It's probably over 15 years ago. You know,
even longer.
Yeah, a lot of stuff I don't remember clearly.
How was it in the studio? How was it just productivity,
you know,
or was it just a big mess and partying as well?
Yeah, that's what it was. That lifestyle was just massive, crazy, and partying, and just. But like I was saying, when Pac come in the studio, it was there to work. He wasn't there to really party. He was more focused on working.
And did 2pac ever get angry when you guys were just drinking and smoke, and he just wanted to record something?
Of course, he would get angry if he seemed like we're not paying attention, or we just come into the studio just to drink or just to smoke. He would get angry with us. He would say we wasting his money, you know? He would tell us all the time, I didn't get you from out of the hood so that you guys can be sitting here just smoking and drinking. You come here, you have to be productive, you know?
Yeah. Did the Outlaws always wrote their own verses?
We always wrote our own verses. You know, the first time that Pac ever wrote a verse for the Outlaws was actually the song that he wrote for me, You Can Be Touched, that verse. Other than that, he wouldn't allow us to, we always had to write our own verses, you know? One thing about Pac, he's not going to have nobody in his team that can't write his own raps. You know, he would just say, if you can't write your own raps, it's better for you not to be a rapper, just hang with us. He would, you know, he's not going to let a person who can't write his raps around in a circle. Pac, he always was supportive. I don't think he ever, we do a verse. One thing about Pac, I don't think he ever said to any of us, I don't like that verse. Even if maybe he didn't like some of our verses, but never one time he ever looked at one of the Outlaws and said, I don't like the verse. He always encouraged us.
Who came with the idea of all these political names for all the members of the Outlaws?
That was Pac idea. He gave us all names of so-called enemies of the West or tyrants, you know? And, like, for example, Hussein was named after Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi after the former Libyan president Muammar Gaddafi, Idi Amin. Pac changed his name to Machiavelli. He gave me the name Napoleon after Napoleon Bonaparte. So all these were names given to us by Pac.
And was there a reason for that?
It was a reason because, one, these were all people that was considered mainly in the West as tyrants, or, you know, they wasn't really, you know, looked upon. And at that time, all the rappers was changing their name to, like, Italian names and mafia names. But this is why you have to watch the documentary, because the documentary, I explain all this, you know.
What is your most favorite song that you ever did with 2pac?
To be honest, man, to me, it's more about what favorite song that I done with him and things like that. It was just more of the only thing that I would say that I missed from that lifestyle was just the friendship I had with 2pac and the Outlaws, you know. But I can't really recall a favorite song or anything like that. But the only thing I will miss is how we used to hang with each other and we kick it. You know, that's what's, you know, that I miss from that lifestyle only, you know.
And you're still in contact with some of the Outlaws?
Yeah, I'm in contact with all the Outlaws, you know. I speak to them on Twitter, on emails, on Instagram. We always in touch with each other.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And what do you learn from being around 2pac for a long time?
Well, you know, Pac, like I said, he had a lot of good qualities. That he was an honest person, you know. So he taught us, you know, and he also taught us whatever we believe in, stick with it, no matter what, even if, you know, the rest of the world is against you. And this is a concept. After me accepting the religion of Islam, at the beginning it was strange for all my friends that I decided to not smoke. I decided not to drink. And this is something that I got from Pac as well, that whatever you believe in, stick with it no matter what. If you believe it's to be the truth, you stick with it, you know?
And when was the last time that you actually have seen 2pac?
Seen him the day he died in the hospital.
What was your first reaction when you heard about his death?
Well, when I first heard that he was dead, I was shocked because I didn't believe that he was going to die. I thought that he was going to be like the first time when he got shot 5 times, he's going to come back. So of course I was in shock. I was sad. You know, it caught us off guard. We didn't expect that to hear the words that he's not living anymore.
What is true about the rumor that 2pac didn't want to go to Vegas that day?
Yeah, that was true. You know, for some reason, Pac, he felt like he didn't want to go to Vegas on that trip. And but like I have a belief, man, when it's time for you to die, you would have to go to the place of your death, because there's no way we can escape death when this is things that's in the control and controlled by God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, you know. And even like Pac mom, she always say, I believe it was 2pac time. Nothing happened by mistake.
Do you have a funny or interesting story about you and 2pac that you would like to share with the fans?
Nah, Pac was just a funny guy all the time, you know. I don't probably think it was a day that go by we don't sit around and we don't joke and clown with each other. You know, we would just always, always like to make fun, man, and make jokes, you know. And that's how we was. We was different, man. We wasn't the type that would just always be in a club. We would just sit in his house. We would sit in the living room and we all would make jokes with each other, you know. And I used to have a real bad attitude, you know. I remember, like, sometime when we do stuff, Pac, if he had friends around, like lady friends or other guests, and if we embarrass him, he get real angry with us, you know. Mm-hmm. And but I remember one incident, I got real angry at one of his female guests, and I decided to take some Pepsi and I just poured it on her clothes. I was a young kid, and Pac, usually he get angry and he just started busting out laughing. So I said, you know what, I know I'm gonna get in trouble with Pac, but I don't care. This lady keep being disrespectful. I'm just gonna do what I have to do, and I'll just take the anger from Pac later. But he actually started laughing. You know, this is the relationship we had. But most of the times we did these things, we was little kids, just having a good time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. What is your opinion about the reaction of Gaddafi's mother on Twitter a few weeks back about your cousin?
My cousin, yes.
Yeah.
You know, Gaddafi's mother, she's still like an aunt to me. You know, she's the one that introduced. I knew her for years since I was a little kid. I knew her maybe close to 30 years, this woman. You know, she's like an aunt to me. But my cousin is the one that accidentally shot Gaddafi. You know, my cousin did 11 years in prison for killing Gaddafi. And my cousin told me, for example, it was an accident. I spoke to my cousin. But, of course, Yasmin, Gaddafi's mother, she lost her child. She's hurt. She doesn't believe it's an accident. Yeah. So as you read online, she, for some reason, say that I'm involved with trying to cover up the death and things like that, which when Gaddafi got shot, I was in Atlanta. In fact, I was in the house of 2pac mother house, you know. So I had no involvement with it. I wasn't even in the same city or the same state. And for me to try to cover up a death, it's not going to change anything if I try to cover up a death or not. You know, my cousin, if there's no witness there and he said that it was an accident, then I want to believe my cousin. You know, so of course she's a mother who lost her child, so she's very hurtful. So I don't really take it personal what she says. I just try to explain my side of the story, you know.
Do you have any last words for the fans?
Yeah, I just want to, thank you for giving me this opportunity and, help promote my documentary. The documentary, as I mentioned, it will be out digital January 21st, be in stores worldwide February 19, 2003. They can visit the website, www.lifeofanoutlaw.com. As I said, we have the Outlaws in my documentary. We have Mopreen, we have Big Psych, we have Loon, who was a member of Bad Boy Records with Puff Daddy, telling the side of the beef from the Bad Boy side. We have Freeway from Rockefeller, former member of Rockefeller. We have Mike Epps as an executive producer. So we just want the people to look out for the documentary. They can check out the trailer on YouTube and visit our website, you know?
Yeah. Will the DVD have some bonus material, some cutted scenes or stuff like
that? Yes,
that?
it's going to be like some bonus material, some interviews that didn't make the actual documentary cut. We have it in bonus material in the DVD. You know?
Okay, that's nice.
Also, the people can go to my Facebook page, Mutah Napoleon Bill, and we update about the documentary, about the release, and what's new with the documentary, so the people can follow us on the Facebook page.
Yeah, and where can people can order the documentary?
Once the documentary is out, in January digitally. They're going to be able to download it on iTunes, Amazon. They're going to be able to purchase it online on many outlets online, and also in retail stores all over the world. For example, in your country, whatever the main store is that sell films and music, we will have the documentary in there as well. You know.
Yeah.
Also, they
Yeah.
can visit the website. We'll update you guys on the website and the Facebook page where they can pick up the documentary.